Welcome to the Harsch Review. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about LBJ,
The Ritual,
Jumanji,
and Jurassic Park.
Welcome to the Harsch Review. This is Ryan, and with me is my brother Sean. How's it going, Sean?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Rough week, but I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode. Nice recording at the end of a long week. Weather's been okay. You know, we got daylight savings time coming up. Looking for more daylight, but
Yeah, me too.
Nothing too crazy. Same old. What episode are we on now?
Ooh, would this be 14?
14?
Yeah.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, we'll be talking about some Jurassic Park, some dinosaurs.
Nice.
Yeah. But first, let's get into some movie news.
It's time for movie news. It's time for movie news. It's time for movie news.
Yeah, well, I got one for you. There's a new show coming out on AMC, and it's executive produced by none other than Ridley Scott, and it's called The Terror.
The Terror.
The Terror. And
I feel like I've heard it. Tell me about it.
Well, I saw like a preview for it, and I started reading the book, actually.
Uh-huh.
The book's by a guy called Dan Simmons, and I'm kind of into this topic. It's about a ship in the 19th century that goes and finds the Northwest Passage, which is basically you go up past Greenland and around the North Pole down, the Pacific Ocean. This is before they found out, the better way to get over to the other side of America.
You mean this is when they discovered that the Earth is actually flat?
Exactly. Yeah. So all you flat earthers out there, you'll really love this show, I'm sure. But anyway, it's so this one it's based on a true story, but the book and obviously the show are kind of a reimagining of what really happened because no one really knows what happens. It's basically two ships led by John Franklin, and they go up to the North Pole, and then they were never heard from again. Supposedly they're on the ice for a couple years, just frozen in, and then there was talk of obviously scurvy, possibly cannibalism, but I think they recently found one of the ships. But the show is in the book or anything but that really what it's looking like is a cross between Master and Commander, Alien, and The Thing. So
so we got Master Commander, Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Paul Bettany.
Yes.
Great movie. I really like that one.
Yeah, me too.
Alien, Alien, or is it Aliens? Which one? The first one?
Alien, the first one.
Alien. And then, what was, you also said The Thing?
Yes, Kurt Russell.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there's supposedly a monster. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but there's some kind of creature or some kind of giant polar bear involved.
Or like a kraken. I could see is there a kraken?
I'm not going to say.
There's a kraken.
Yeah, there you go. But it's apparently Ridley Scott's got his fingerprints all over this, although he's executive producing it. So promising to be pretty violent. It's on AMC, so it's going to be a fairly good quality show. We have Syrian Hines and Jared Harris are the two ship captains.
I don't know them.
Well, Syrian Hines would be Daniel Plainview's like right-hand man in There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's also in Munich.
You recently played him in a little skit.
You did.
That
not
was his brother,
but yeah.
So he's the guy who in There Will Be Blood took the kid off to the deaf school.
Yeah. He's the one that's always kind of hanging out with Daniel, and
he
doesn't talk that much, but he's in it. Jared Harris was in Mad Men.
Is he the Silver Fox? He's
the British guy that, spoiler alert, hangs himself.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but thanks.
Well, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it, too late.
Yeah, too late.
Yeah, he's not like a major character, but
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks good. I'm really excited. It's debuting the end of the month, so March 26th. And it's going to be a 10-part series for season 1, and we'll see if it goes anywhere. It's about like a 700-page book, so I'm thinking
have you been reading the book?
I've been reading the book. It's very, very engaging. Definitely a page turner.
Nice. Well, I'll have to check that out. I didn't hear about it, but actually, I love period pieces, especially when it involves something like the Kraken or the Terror, whatever it is. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds rad.
Yeah.
Cool. On my side of the fence, I've only got 2 different things. One of them, they recently just announced that Jon Favreau, he's been doing a lot of some of the Marvel films like the Iron Man, and then recently he's jumped onto the Disney train doing the Jungle Book. He did that one.
Okay.
The live action Jungle Book. He's doing like the live action Lion King. Anyway, his Disney stock's riding pretty high, so they tapped him to do a live action Star Wars show for this new Disney streaming service we talked about a handful of episodes ago that's coming out next year.
Ah.
Yeah, don't really know too many details. I think most of the discussion was, okay, why this guy? Did not see this level of career coming for him.
Because he's a big nerd?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about him personally.
But that's not disparaging him. He's fairly into this stuff, I think.
Yeah, I just never saw him as this type of talent, like as you watch his career go. I mean, back from a guy that was in Swingers to where he's at now.
Sure.
He's come a long way.
Yeah, but I mean, with Swingers, he kind of wrote that one, and it was, I think apparently he tried to get it made for a long time. So, the talent and the creativity have always been there, but it is impressive seeing him throughout the years, how he's, I think he did Cowboys and Aliens, right?
I believe so. Sounds about right. What for me, I think that this is the only area of concern I have, is his brand as a director or his style isn't really established with me. I don't know what it is, but I think it's maybe because he exploded or had some huge franchises and movies rather quickly.
Yeah.
And I could be just totally ignorant to his catalog, to be honest. But like when I watch his movies, they seem like they're all well-made movies. They're all very safe. They've always had good humor elements to them. But I don't really know like his point of view. Whereas you look at like The Last Jedi with Rian Johnson, you clearly see the difference between Abrams and his movie.
Right.
I don't really know where he's going to land. I
kind of like a Ron Howard. You know what I mean? Just
there you go. Perfect.
Makes kind of safe movies, but unlike like say if you watch a Kubrick even or a Spielberg, it's like you're watching a movie by either one of those guys.
It's got a brand, and that's a perfect way to describe it. And I don't really know what his is. It just feels like he's a guy that can make a quality movie, but he's also in Disney's pocket. So he's just gonna play it right to however that they want it.
It's a company man.
Yeah.
Hey,
gotta respect that. It's all about
moving
the
on up. Moving on up.
So good for him. We'll see how that comes around. That should be sometime next year, but he's gonna have to get that under production soon if he wants to have it be a part of their launch. With no other details of when it's gonna happen in 2019, or what it's gonna cost, but Disney's got deep pockets and a big catalog, so I'm sure it'll be exciting.
I'm just interested to see what approach he's going to take. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I used to play Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars game, probably one of the best role playing games in the Star Wars franchise. And I think this was it's an old console. I don't know if it was on the original Xbox. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
But it was great because it took place in a different point in time. Wasn't as lightsabery. Wasn't super heavy with the Force. A lot of people want a Star Wars set in that period of time. So I'm hoping that maybe whatever they have come out definitely is in a much different era where they really start expanding Star Wars a little bit beyond, I think, swashbuckling space adventures.
Well, my wish list consists of 2 things: young Yoda and puppets.
Well, I wouldn't hold your breath on that.
Yeah.
Young Yoda and
young
puppets.
Yoda would be a good.
You like puppets there, boy?
Yeah, I mean, for this particular franchise, yes, but a young
Yeah.
Yoda show would be interesting.
Do you need to have like a child-sized puppet for that, or
Yeah, like
I don't know,
a miniature,
miniature puppet?
Yeah, like a finger puppet.
Okay, I don't know if anybody would watch that, but
Well,
maybe you'll get your wish one day.
hey, I'm hoping.
Last bit of news before we move into what we're watching this week. Obama is in talk for a Netflix series.
Oh,
Yeah, a little interesting. I can't think of any other president who's as much of a media guy like Obama is. Love him or hate him, he's definitely a little bit more of a mainstream president, it seems.
sure. He's hip.
But yeah, he's hip enough. The don't really know what it's going to be about. He doesn't quite either, but it seems like it's going to be maybe him telling stories of like local heroes and powerful people or influential people, positive stories, shining a light on just everyday people that, you know, make a difference in their communities and things like that. So curious to see how that translates into an interesting Netflix series without some kind of like political narrative.
You need a gimmick like a big old bushy beard like Dave Letterman.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only watched the first episode that Letterman had.
I can't do it.
And
that beard has got to go.
no, I love the beard's rad, but it was.
Yeah,
did you watch the episode yet?
No,
Yeah,
I'll get
give
to
it.
it.
You're
Yeah.
a Dave fan, so give it a go.
I do like Dave.
I haven't watched the George Clooney one, but it was actually pretty boring, and I think it was because it wasn't just an interview format with Letterman. He was still himself, but it was a.
Was he like throwing the index cards at the camera?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
No.
It was Larry Bud Melman.
Well, no. He has this audience, and he's got one empty chair, and the audience isn't really supposed to know who he's going to bring on stage. And then he brings out Obama and does the interview.
Okay.
But several times throughout it, they kept cutting towards Dave, off screen, having conversations and kind of touring historical moments of where a lot of black activists and black civil rights were going down, like the bridge. I think it was in Memphis or that Martin Luther King Jr. walked across.
That'd be Selma, Alabama.
Selma, Alabama. Sorry. Yeah. So he did a walk there with somebody that marched with Martin Luther King. And
Interesting.
It was a really good discussion, but
That's a cool way to do it, though.
Yeah, but then it would pan back to him and Obama having their interview about that subject, and then the interview would stop, and then it goes back to Dave having conversations with other people that are not Obama, and so I just wanted to see just keep the interview from beginning to end.
Too
and
much
maybe
editing.
Edit it differently. Yeah, it just had a strange pace to it. So. We'll see how these other ones come along, but
Yes.
got off track a little bit. But my point is that when Obama came out, it almost quickly turned to him interviewing Dave.
Those are always the best interviews.
Yeah, so
To me.
but you could kind of tell he's very comfortable in that format. So I'm really curious to see what he does. But if it doesn't have a political agenda and it's is he going to be influencing his base or his fan base? Is there going to be some kind of liberal agenda? I don't know.
That's better than what George W. Bush is doing. He's drawing creepy paintings right now.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah, it's just, it's weird that he's just kind of secluded himself from the public eye. Whereas Obama, you still they're still talking about the guy, and he's already been out of office.
Yeah, it's been that long.
2 years almost. Yeah.
Yeah, not been that long, but. We'll see what he does post presidency, and it looks like he's got a shit ton of Twitter followers. He still has a lot of influence, but I don't really see him influencing politics. I think he's totally done with that.
Yeah,
I think he's going to start going maybe the Bill Gates route.
That's
I
cool.
don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Good for him.
All right. Well, that should about wraps it up for news. Let's see. What are you watching this week?
All right. Well, from one president to another, I saw the LBJ biopic called LBJ, starring
What do you know?
yeah, hey, starring Woody Harrelson. And for those of you who don't know, LBJ was the president who succeeded JFK after his assassination. Really kind of ramped up the Vietnam conflict and passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1965, which was very important. So the movie was okay. I mean, a little dry, to be honest with you. It's really more suited for history buffs and people have a mild, maybe fascination with him. Because the guy was a prick. I mean,
Was he was an ass or what? Yeah.
he was just, yeah. I mean, he would like do press conferences and stuff while he was taking a shit, or, he just kind of no filter on him at all. Semi-racist. I mean, interesting kind of character, and Woody did a really good job, despite like a kind of a distracting prosthesis on his face,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh god, like like he actually looked like a puppet, like it's sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was all right, but I mean, I don't think it was like Gary Oldman worthy, Darkest Hour type prosthesis.
Okay.
Why do I keep saying that word? But yeah, I mean, it was all right. That's all I gotta-
Do
all
you
I gotta say
recommend
about it?
Yeah. Do you recommend it to anybody?
Yeah, just people who like presidents
We're way into LBJ.
and weird
Dude,
makeup.
a big
Yeah.
LBJ fan, bro.
Hey, he did a lot of great things.
Is there any movies it's similar to?
Like really like any kind of boring movie about a president. I mean, like
Like Nixon,
like,
like Nixon, maybe.
yeah, a little like minus the Oliver Stone crazy paranoia, but yeah, a little
Okay.
bit. I mean, it's very like matter of factual. It doesn't really get into anything.
What's the one Leo did where he played Hoover?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
But he didn't like dress as a woman, and
Yeah, that was his first shot at like, can I win an Oscar?
yeah, hey,
I'm gonna be Hoover.
let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, check it out.
All right.
Whatever.
Should I really check it out? Are you?
No.
I'm a little confused here.
Nah,
No. All right. I'm good.
you're good.
I'll wait till
You
it's like
don't even know- I don't even know if you knew who LBJ was until.
Yeah,
But,
I knew the initials. I thought it was like a band.
Okay.
No, I
Like
knew
a law firm.
Yeah, LBJ, we'll get you out of accident trouble in no time.
Ah.
All
Look at
right.
you, 2.1 million.
So LBJ,
Yeah.
I saw. Finally got around to seeing one of the most successful movies of 2017, Jumanji.
All right.
Yeah. What do you know of this movie, Ryan?
Nothing.
Well, you know who's in it, right?
The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson,
Okay.
Jack
Is
Black.
Jack Black's in it.
and Kevin Hart.
Okay.
So I've seen the original Jumanji, but it's been so long with Robin Williams, and everybody's like, "How dare you, make another one?" But
It was like a board game, right? That
yeah, it's a
amok.
board game that you run amok, that you get transported into, and you're in the jungle of Jumanji, and you have to like beat the game to get out, kind of thing.
Okay.
If I'm remembering it correctly. So essentially, it's the same thing again. But I wanted to see it because it killed it at the box office. It was probably the biggest surprise of last year.
Yeah.
And,
So you wanted to see what all the fuss was about.
Well, I mean, I like Jack Black. He's always been kind of funny to me.
Yeah. I like it.
The Rock makes entertaining movies, but you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Kevin Hart fan. I think that his shtick is going to get old pretty quick.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's got good delivery. He's good at what he does. But I think he was actually pretty good in this movie because he had like an ensemble cast that he was playing off of. But if
He's a
it's
good supporting guy,
yeah, I saw him in some other movie with The Rock where I don't even know the name of it, but they were like old high school buddies, and then The Rock comes back and he's like some secret CIA agent and all this kinds of stuff, and it was kind of like one of those buddy cop funny duos.
I don't know
kind of
what
thing.
that is.
I
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of it. I'm spacing out here. I shouldn't even be talking about it.
sure.
But just to give you some perspective, I mean, this is like a movie that had somewhere around a $90 million budget.
Wow.
And worldwide, it's grossed $923 million.
Wow.
So, oh yeah, I don't think they anticipated it to kill it at all. So, anyways, I gave it a shot, and it was pretty entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anybody who is looking for that popcorn movie. If you're a video game fan, I think you'll definitely like it because they pay attention to the previous movie. It's not a remake. It's not like a sequel. It's just kind of if you get your hands on this Jumanji game, this can happen to anybody kind of thing. And so
like
somebody,
the next group of idiots that they
Yeah,
didn't
there
learn
you
their
go.
lesson.
Yeah, so they set it up that way, and this time it's a video game. So the 4 people that get warped into the game, they're teenagers that are like in detention. They get warped into the bodies of these characters of the game. So The
Okay.
Rock is like some 16-year-old kid, nerdy kid that's an allergy freak. Kevin Hart is like the jock. It's some big guy called Fridge who's
Is he white?
and no.
Oh.
And then Jack Black is like some Instagram diva, this girl, and then
Oh, so he's
she
a
gets
woman?
so he's a woman, and then there's this like introverted redheaded girl becomes more of like the sex symbol of the movie that she just isn't not used to seeing herself that way, so she has like self-esteem issues and stuff, but she's like the kick-ass one of the group.
Right.
So they're all like the bodies they get are almost like polar opposite of who they are as a person,
Okay.
which is kind of funny because you actually get to see The Rock do a little bit of acting, which normally
Oh.
I don't really think he acts. I think he just delivers his lines and plays
He
it
just
very
shows
safe.
up. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
takes his
that
shirt
dude
off.
just screams charisma. But Jack Black was really good in this movie just because he plays this 16-year-old girl. It's right up his alley. It's really funny.
Very animated guy.
Yeah, but what I actually liked about it is because they're in a video game, it's they've got like their extra life bars on their arm, and there's different levels and cutscenes and NPCs, and I mean they're so it's kind of interesting how like the plot and the way that the movie is structued out.
Do
is
they
as
like
if
Do they like walk into a wall and keep walking into it like in GTA?
Yeah, no. But like the characters that they come across, the NPCs will say the same lines on a loop as if like they don't really know. There's like a vendor selling bread and they're like, oh, we got to get our health up, and they got to buy that. Like there's all these little video game references and nods to it. So
Okay.
I thought that was kind of cool. It was well made and structured. There's a lot of funny humor. It's safe humor.
Yeah.
So it's PG-13. You're not going to get, if it was rated R, it would have killed, but it's not.
Nothing too crude.
Not a lot of implied. So
Okay.
it's all very, very implied. Yeah.
Those are the big hit movies, though. I mean, the ones, even like some Pixar's are like that, where it's good for kids, but there's also another layer for adults.
For sure.
And so those are traditionally been, maybe in the past 10 years, the big hit type of shows and movies.
Yeah, it could have been. It felt very similar, it felt like a Spielberg movie.
Okay.
Where he plays it kind of safe, but he's got a lot of cleverness to it. It kind of had that kind of feel to it. The Jake Kasdan, the guy who did it, he did Walk Hard, which is that movie's gotten a lot of controversy lately. So
Why?
you'd have to go listen to the NFHC podcast because we had a debate when I was on their show, and then they were listening to our show and having some discussions about our picks for comedies.
Well, do your own.
Yeah, no, no, not that way.
Oh.
The group is divided if Walk Hard is good or not. So,
I love it.
Yeah, well, so anyway, that's kind of where that kind of came up. But yeah, he did that movie. He did like Sex Tape, Bad Teacher. I mean, he's done a lot of those kind of, he did Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
lot of those kind of campy shows. So this is definitely going to be his biggest hit.
Nice.
Yeah. Jumanji.
Now he can do whatever he wants after this.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. All right. You watch anything else other than just the LBJ?
Yeah. Well, I saw a Netflix made for Netflix film. It's a horror movie, and it's called The Ritual.
Okay, so I think I gave this one a start, and then it freaked out my wife after like 5 minutes, and I was like, all right, well, I'll have to clearly wait till another time.
Oh yeah.
So
basically,
don't spoil it, but tell. No, do tell.
I mean, it's basically about a group of guys who every year they take a trip out to like some exotic location, and in this particular trip, they go for a different reason. They go to the hinterlands of Sweden for a little camping and hiking. And on the way back, they make the typical white guy mistake of taking the shortcut through the woods, which, every time that happens, something bad's going to go down. So
yeah, trouble.
So they encounter basically, they're being terrorized by some kind of creature that pretty much looks like he belongs on a Jägermeister bottle. that's the only thing I could say. I mean,
it worked. I have a perfect visual.
Yeah. So, so it was good. It was just kind of like, like it's one of those movies where the characters, you don't really care about them. So it's like in a twisted way. It's like, die already.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah. You don't sympathize with them. It's like, well, you guys are the idiots who decided to go through the woods for a shortcut, first of all. So this is on you. So you don't really feel bad for them like you would other films where similar situations would happen. But
gotcha.
If you like horror movies, if you like suspense, I definitely check it out. Netflix is cranking them out. Apparently they've signed on to do like a whole shit ton of movies. So
this
is one of them.
Yeah. Their new slogan, and I think this is like official, is like not like Netflix, blah, 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 but their strategy is quantity. So my concern is quality.
Where is
So
I mean, it should be. I mean, the more stuff you make, traditionally, it's like the more bullshit you got to sift through.
I know, and their interface on Apple TV could sure as hell use some improvements.
Yeah.
Is it better than, let's say, Cloverfield Paradox?
I mean, it's a different kind of movie, but I got more of a kick out of it. It's okay. It takes place in another country, and it's like, oh, Sweden. Let's see what this is all about. And it's like, okay, I don't want to go to Sweden. I don't think. After seeing Jägermeister bottle guy.
Is it kind of like a Blair Witch with grown men?
Yeah, pretty much grown whiny men.
All bitching at each other about whose ideas do what and
fighting, and it's your fault. And it's, it's just like, okay.
How many times have we seen that kind of movie?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like anytime it's just like a group of dudes around, they all got to alpha male each other, and it never ends up good for them. But
yeah. I think the only movie that did that type of thing well was maybe like Grey. Remember that one with Liam Neeson?
The Grey? Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
The Grey.
I love it.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those situations where the plane crashes and all those dudes are out there and they instantly start getting hunted by wolves. And
I have a very particular set of skills that allow me to kill wolves.
He's like, just buckle up, you pussies. Just
take it on a plane on the Alaskan wildlife. Like that's pretty much what it was.
That was a fun one though.
Yeah, I liked it. Really good movie.
All right, The Ritual.
The Ritual, yeah. Check it out if you like horror movies and weird creatures.
On Netflix now.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, shall we go back to prehistoric times?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's talk about Jurassic Park.
Right.
So I decided to talk about Jurassic Park this week for a handful of reasons. We're kind of, we're 14 episodes in, and I really wanted to make sure that probably in the first few dozen we hit a lot more of those landmark type films, the ones that have the biggest influence over just cinema history and personal favorites of ours that we felt kind of influenced us a lot as movie fans. And everybody's seen Jurassic Park. If you haven't, I don't know what cave you've been living in, but I think that a lot of people probably have forgotten how influential this movie actually is. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
Because I myself am one of those individuals, and after going back and watching it again, I've seen it probably 12, 15 times. But after watching it more and more, you start to kind of just take more away from it. So before we kind of start diving into some of the specifics of the movies, what were some of your early thoughts and exposure to it?
Well, like you said, it is a landmark film. It was landmark in a way that Terminator 2 was in terms of the CGI and the effects. I remember when T2 came out, it was just like a huge innovative film, and I think Jurassic Park set the bar even higher. For me, I mean, I obviously saw it in the theaters, loved it, but I believe prior to that I had read the book. And I don't know if you I'm sure you read the book at some point.
I did. I read it actually before the movie. I think I read your book. Yes.
So I think I read it, and then you got a copy of it, and then the movie came out not too long afterwards. The book is great, and it is. I mean, if you have not read the book, it is. I'm not going to say a lot different than the movie, but it is definitely more violent. I wasn't disappointed when I went and saw the movie because, adaptations are really in the eye of the director and whatever they want to make it. But I felt it was a great concept and a great story. Definitely believable to a point, and just amazing to see on the big screen. With the score was excellent. I remember the soundtrack. And who doesn't love dinosaurs? I mean, that's every kid and
right,
adult. It's like it's like we get a movie about dinosaurs. It's not cheesy. Like you don't see the zipper going up the back of the brontosaurus. So it's not it's not like one of those kind of cheesy dinosaur movies, because you really can't think of a lot of other movies involving dinosaurs that look this great.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I remember, I was, I think 14 years old when I saw it in the theater, and I was way into it. I mean, for me, the biggest movies in the theater that I recall seeing kind of started with maybe Temple of Doom, E.T., some of the younger ones. I remember Three Amigos, and that one killed it. And
Twins and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Sidebar on Three Amigos, my buddy Devin in SoCal reminded me that it was absent from our list, and I've not been able to sleep since.
I can't believe we slept on that because that's a big favorite of both of ours.
I know we
I think we just kind of missed it in the.
I don't know how, but that movie is rad.
It is.
Devin, thank you, and we apologize to our listeners out there. Three Amigos probably would have bumped something else off that list.
We'll make it number 11.
Yes, number 11, Three Amigos official. All right, where were we? Dinosaurs and stuff.
So you're
I remember. So then it went from Three Amigos to Batman. I remember Batman was a big deal when that came out. I was all about Batman. I was probably 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then the next big one was Jurassic Park. I don't know. It came before T2, I believe, right? T2 was the year after?
I think T2 came first.
Which one came first? I don't know. I remember seeing...
Well, what year did Jurassic Park come out?
93. So... T2, let's find out. 91, yeah. So
okay, yeah.
So Terminator was the shit. Everybody knows that. Guns N' Roses were killing it.
Yep.
And then we go see Jurassic Park. But the difference is Jurassic Park for me had a lot more substance than something like Terminator did. Terminator was an awesome spectacle, but and it had some good emotions and story and things in there. Doesn't age as well in some respects as Jurassic Park, but anyways, so the whole point is that if you remember seeing this, you have vivid memories of seeing this when it came out.
Right.
It was a game changer for movies, and everything that came after that was heavily influenced by Jurassic Park. Not only is it Steven Spielberg at his best, because he kind of had some lulls and ups and downs in the late 80s heading into the 90s. But it brought back dinosaurs on the screen like no one's ever seen them, because who did dinosaur movies, right?
Yeah.
Nobody
I can't really think
did.
of a good one, honestly.
Yeah.
Land of the Lost.
Yeah, no.
You know, Land Before Time.
Yeah, so
that's a cartoon, but you know,
you're
that was a
looking.
good one.
So what was Spielberg before he went into this? He did Last Crusade, Indiana Jones. He did Always, then Hook, right? So we all remember Hook in '91, and then he went and did Jurassic Park, followed by Schindler's List, and then another Jurassic Park, followed by Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, so forth, so forth. So
Okay.
it was an interesting. He really didn't have a whole lot going on, in my opinion, from Last Crusade. I mean, Hook was great; it did well, but it's a different type of movie.
Yeah.
But really, I just want to kind of sink home that why was Jurassic Park a game changer? What did it actually do? What worked, and how did it become such a huge hit? This is a movie that was made roughly on $65 million back then. It did over $1 billion in the box office. Today,
Wow.
that would have been like 1.7 billion,
Yeah.
if you take inflation into account. So it killed it, made a lot of money. So not only do you get lots of these iconic scenes, and it's classic Spielberg, but there are lots of elements that you kind of saw that Spielberg learned, like with movies like Jaws, that he was able to try to do how he handled the T-Rex.
Creating tension.
Yeah, and I also remember it was a movie that wasn't anchored on a celebrity, which is pretty unique for as big of a blockbuster it is. I mean, at least for me, I didn't have any equity as 14-year-old with any of the cast. And although
What about Newman?
Newman, yeah, a lot of them have been known actors and things
Samuel
like
L.
that.
Jackson.
Yeah, that was before he got popular.
That's true.
But there weren't any A-list stars leading it. Really, the dinosaurs were the stars.
Yeah.
So that was also, I think, something unique about it is a summer blockbuster that didn't have an A-list. That killed it. I do feel that there may be perhaps a handful too many tender moments. Like after kind of watching it as I get older and older, you're like, okay, it is a little bit more of a family movie. And I think it could have shifted maybe a little bit darker how the book went.
Well, I think if it went strictly by the book, it would be like rated R.
Yeah, well, the book,
Right?
the book is very violent, a little bit more horrific, a lot more suspense. The dinosaurs played a much more predatory role in the book, whereas here they had a big influence. But after watching it again, like there's not as many dinosaurs as you think, not as many as you remember. I watch them like there are really only like 7 dinosaurs in this movie. But because they're in the most advanced amusement park in the entire world, based off of the whole dinosaurs and stuff, you would expect it just to have litters of them everywhere.
Yeah, shitload of dinosaurs.
But there are a few key points that Spielberg wanted to make, because after he read Crichton's book on it, he wanted to he started storyboarding it out. And when you really dive into the production of this movie and how they made it, that's when it starts to get really fascinating. So
I mean, did he like acquire the rights? Because I'm sure I think the book was a big hit too, though. I think
it was, and he started storyboarding it before he even had it, because he knew he wanted to make it, and I think he had the swagger where he knew he would be the guy to do it.
He's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, he walked away with it specifically saying that it's not going to be a monster movie. It's not going to be a genre of horror, sci-fi, or fantasy. And he didn't get that impression from reading it. Of course, Spielberg had to, put in the whole theme of kids with no parents, because that's like the number one theme in all of his movies that he can.
Oh yeah.
Because he grew up with daddy and mama issues.
We get it, Steve.
I know, but it's really heavy in this one. But when you really think about it, what he really liked, and he makes a good point, is that in theory, it's plausible that you could create a theme park, if you could create a theme park from the DNA of recreated dinosaurs in an environment where you could keep the dinosaurs safe, and it made it feel like a real plausible concept.
Oh yeah, and I mean the book even does it. The book gets into the DNA and stuff, and you're like, yeah, like this could happen.
Yeah, and so that's what was really cool about it is, and I think that's why when I was at that age of 12, 13, when I read the book and then finally seeing the movie, is it wasn't really fantasy based. It was really grounded in science. Of course, it's not possible, but still, you never know. It's plausible. Yeah. You could connect the dots if you really wanted to have that argument. But really, for Spielberg going in, he really wanted to try to make this movie and tell a good story about the people that were in there, and the dinosaurs are not necessarily secondary, but it's kind of like they're the MacGuffin, so to speak, of the movie.
Yeah, he's telling a bigger story.
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted to make like all the dinosaurs full size puppets, like, and he had Stan Winston. He's the guy who did like Jaws. He wanted Stan Winston to make them. So they start heading down this road of we're going all puppets, right? So that's how production started. And
love the puppets.
Yeah, Jurassic puppets. That would probably be what you call it, right? If it bombed,
right?
Where's that movie at, Steve?
Yeah, little hand puppet.
I know. Yeah, your Yoda's involved.
Yeah, he's like off in the corner.
Now
I told you.
I told you
not
I
to
did.
mess with this DNA. I did.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Yoda, get him going.
Yeah, a little cigar.
What? Yeah, Yoda, you've really changed, buddy.
Yeah. You're got a raunchy over there.
Yeah, there's this dude in Colorado. His name's Jack Horner. He's like a paleontologist, and he's a huge dinosaur nerd, and he has these theories that they became birds, and really sold Steven on a lot of this stuff. And so he was a huge influence on the interpretation of dinosaurs. So not only did Jurassic Park influence cinema and how movies were made and what defined a blockbuster, but he also said, like, this is what dinosaurs look like. And
because Spielberg kind of, to go back really quick, he really did define the blockbuster with Jaws.
He did.
It's like with Jurassic Park, it's like he's
reinventing that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's why I think that it's kind of, he come full circle in a sense. But really, think about it. Like, there really were no dinosaur movies. Yeah. And a couple you saw were some of those stupid, claymation style ones from the 50s. So when he made the dinosaurs look the way that they look, that really just kind of influenced everything after that. So whenever you see T-Rexes or any type of dinosaur, they're all kind of stealing from Jurassic Park. Yeah. Which, obviously stole it from other source materials and stuff, but they do have their own spin on a lot of different things that a lot of people complain about a movie, or more of the dino nerds, about, like, that's not how they would have looked. That's not what their colors would have been like. That's not what their sounds and vocalizations. They wouldn't have moved that way. They don't travel in herds. They don't do this. They're not birds. All these things are kind of unique and contained within this movie. So that's kind of like a side narrative to be mindful of. Huh. So anyways, after Jack Horner had a heavy influence on the direction they took the dinosaurs, along with Michael Crichton, getting involved with Steven, they really started storyboarding the whole thing out. And they actually, and this is what I thought was just really impressive, and only somebody like Spielberg that I know of can do this, is every frame of the entire movie was storyboarded out.
Well, that's what Hitchcock did that.
Yeah, but they took it a step further, and they went and shot the whole movie with puppets, basically. So
thought
that
you were gonna say, Steven's
stop
dogs.
motion type puppets.
Steven's dogs as the
Steven-
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Playing Brontosaurus, Great Dane.
Yeah, it's got some little velvet little dino outfit with white teeth. Yeah, so then they did stop motion for all these dino pits and stuff that they had, so that they knew exactly like what it was supposed to look like on set.
So they just kind of made it look like an old dinosaur movie.
Yeah, it was all
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because initially it was going to be all stop motion animation like King Kong was. So that's how they set up the entire production to go. They wanted to have the where the thing's foot was in the mud, the spitter, the raptor, the T-Rex. The same guy who did Jaws, who did all those, and so he started building out all these aspects of it. And as they're in the middle of production, ILM called up Steven.
Our old friend
Steven?
George Lucas.
I'm on Steven's team.
No way.
Yeah,
I'm on Steven's team.
Yeah, not Lucas, but his affiliates at ILM. Not Lucas personally. There would have been aliens in it.
Old neckbeard.
Yeah, Steve.
Hey,
So,
I got a flannel shirt that it's too short to tuck in, Steven. What should I do?
Yeah. Anyway, on a sidebar, just since you reminded me of your old pal George, I just watched like Mark Hamill's Hollywood Walk of Fame star that he got, and like Harrison did a little speech, which is kind of a doozer, but Lucas did a speech, and it's like the worst speech.
He's
and
not a
he,
good people person.
No, it's so bad. Like you see it, and then he just kind of like ends and then like walks away without really doing anything, and it's like I guess he's done.
Everyone's like, who's that guy?
Yeah, he says something like I know that Mark Hamill says something to George George says to Mark like, hey, and you're still young enough where you can keep making movies. And then Mark says, well, so are you. And Lucas like waves his hands, goes like, I'm done. Like,
God.
Yeah.
Was he wearing a flannel shirt with a tie?
I think he was wearing a flannel shirt, no tie. But watch it. It's kind of cringy. But anyways, back in the early 90s, ILM called Steven as they're already developing Jurassic puppets. And they said that they can pull off full-size dinosaurs that in CGI that were accurate and authentic to the eye. So Steven's obviously intrigued, and he was so impressed that he instantly, midstream, just changed the course of the movie. So he said, stop, we're now going this direction. So
no puppets.
No more puppets.
Shut down the puppet factory.
Which they kind of did. All the stop motion, there's all these puppets already made, and they were going to still use a lot of them. But so like,
Wonder
for example,
what happened to those puppets.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't be too sad. But basically at that point, he changed everything and the world forever, according to those guys. So on April 20th of 1992, production went digital and no more stop motion. And everybody was totally devastated that the stop motion was killed because they had lots of puppets. And
more puppets than any man should have. But
they figured out that they couldn't necessarily animate the scenes that they wanted in CGI because they didn't have any references. So when you see like Andy Serkis do Gollum and he's in that little green spandex with all the white dots on him.
Yeah, I mean they're filming him.
Those are all the reference articulation points that they map a CGI model on top of, and they have the face camera to capture that actor's performance. Right. So they didn't have that for dinosaurs. So while ILM could produce kick-ass looking dinosaurs, it was damn near impossible for Spielberg to say, okay, so this dino is going to run and turn this way, and then it's going to jump and do this thing, or this is the shot that we have with a T-Rex chasing the Jeep as it's going down the road. So there was really no model for doing this yet. Nobody's used CGI like this. So they had to discover it kind of in real time. Thankfully, they had a shitload of puppets. So they ended up going, and the puppets bridged that gap between stop animation and CGI because they designed all the movement. So what they ended up doing is they shot all those scenes stop motion as if it was going to be the puppet movie. And then that became the reference frames for the guys to map CGI on top of.
Say puppets again, please.
Puppets.
Okay.
Why, you like that?
Yeah. That's
I've
the
said that
buzzword for
word
this
like
episode.
30 times today.
I know.
Yeah.
We even talked about it before we started talking about Jurassic Park. So it's like,
Jurassic puppets.
say it
It's
again
kinda-
one more time. Say it
kind of
again.
It's kind of a fun word to say. I mean, try it right now, folks. Go ahead, say
It's
it.
a lot of P's.
Puppets.
Puppets.
Yeah, that first P is like a little jab, like pow.
Yeah.
So the movie went through lots of lengths to kind of establish that the scientists and characters were to be very believable, and they wanted to make sure that the dinosaurs were as well. So that's kind of sets up the digital creation of bringing the dinosaurs to life. Is this journey from Jurassic puppets to CGI coming in?
We need to have a little
and
clock in the corner. We need a little
How
timer
do we
in the corner.
how do
every
we
time you say
bridge the two?
puppets.
I know. How do we bridge the two?
Puppets. Ding.
If this was on YouTube, you'd definitely see that thing's just spinning.
Yeah. Little counter.
And so really that's kind of set the template for how you do CGI. And when they started doing motion capture with people wearing the suits, a lot of that really started on this movie because they had to figure that out. And to Steven's credit, he did it midstream, whereas most people would have committed and gone all the way.
Right.
He was confident enough to go, we'll get through it, we'll figure it out.
He embraced the technology and he knew he could do it. Yeah.
So we'll talk about a little bit of that in a little bit, but let's shift and talk a little bit about the cast. Do you have a favorite? Favorite character or favorite actor who portrayed that character?
Well, I do like what's his name? Sam Neill.
Yeah, Sam Neill.
He's good. I like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I like
Sam Neill. I remember him from like The Mouth of Madness, I want to say.
Yeah, he was in another movie called Dead Calm. I didn't see it back then, but it's a really good movie. You should check it out. But he was in that Australian fella, I think.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum. Newman, of course.
Yeah, Newman. Do you know his name, actually?
Wayne Knight.
I didn't know it, so I looked it up. I was like,
Wayne.
No,
Yeah.
no, that dude's Newman forever, I'm telling you.
I wanted a word to like, hello, Wayne.
Yeah.
Like,
hello, Jerry.
Yeah, hello, Wayne. Yeah, he's. Anytime I've seen him in other stuff too. I'm like, hey, it's Newman. But unfortunately, that's just his burden to carry. But
that's a great name.
Yeah, the British guy, Attenborough, right?
Richard Attenborough.
And I think his brother is the narrator
David.
of all those great documentaries. So
yeah, David Attenborough.
Yeah, he was good, and I recently saw The Great Escape not too long ago. Very, very young David Attenborough. So I kind of just looking at him, I'm like, yeah, that's the guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he came out of retirement to do this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was he a sir at that point, or?
I'm sure he probably could have been. I don't know.
Who else we have? Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Right.
You're on a roll.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Right. Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
And the puppets.
And the puppets. Yeah, there's a couple others. I mean, you got Bob Peck as the guy who played Muldoon, the Australian crocodile hunter looking guy.
Right.
Martin Ferrero did Gennaro, the blood sucking lawyer. B.D. Wong, he was Wu. He's also the guy that came back in Jurassic World, so they kind of made the connection. And then they had a couple kids in puppets.
Okay.
But it's a great cast. And David Koepp, he did the screenplay, and he's the one who kind of put in a lot of the humor, and that's like what Steven really appreciated about Koepp. Like, look up his resume. It's pretty impressive. But Steven believed that nobody would watch a dinosaur movie in 1993 if it didn't have humor. So that's kind of why he had kept write the humor in, and he kind of created these personas, like where Goldblum's character is this cocky scientist who's flirting and stuff.
David Koepp also did Mordecai.
Mordecai?
That stupid movie with Johnny Depp.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
So,
everybody's allowed a mulligan.
Yeah, everyone gets one bad one.
Mordecai.
Ugh.
Well.
Ugh. Anyway,
it's been a great week, folks.
Yeah.
No,
we'll be talking about Mordecai next week.
Yeah, he's got some serious writing credits. He's got a lot of great runs. He did like Mission Impossible, Lost World, Snake Eyes, Stir of Echoes, Spider-Man, Panic Room, War of Worlds. He did do Crystal of the Skull, some of the screenplays, so I don't forgive him for that.
Another blunder.
Yeah, womp womp. But anyway, yeah, it's your boy.
Okay.
So where were we? Who are we talking about? People. Yeah. So anyway, Richard Attenborough, Steven brought him out of retirement. Dude's brother does all the voices for those shows you watch when you get all stoned at home. And then, which basically is kind of what they're made for.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson, yeah, he was in it. He wasn't a big star just yet. And yeah, so the cast was kind of good. And they had a lot of good chemistry. They filmed a lot of it in Kauai. Did some external shots in Maui, and then a lot of stuff on sound stages that they couldn't do in Hawaii. But when we kind of move into a little bit of the on location stuff, the Triceratops is really the first dinosaur that you see, and it was this, and it wasn't CGI, was it?
I don't think so. Was it a puppet?
It was a puppet, yeah. So, yes, it took 7 or 8 people to operate it. Very much like, Jabba the Hutt kind of looking thing.
So like 7 dudes all close in,
Yeah, but this really was the, that's what I kept imagining as I'm watching. I'm like, how are they all laid into that thing? Like,
some
whose
dude's
heads
like
and whose crotch doing
guy's head's up some guy's butthole, and he's like, all right.
Either way, it would have been pretty rough. But yeah, it took that many people to operate the puppet. But it was really impressive. So when you see it, they did a great job with it. It still holds up pretty good.
I was like, hey, nice puppet.
Yeah, right. Hey, I appreciate the puppet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like when they were in Kauai, they had that huge hurricane that kind of hit the island. It hit it for like 9 hours and just wiped out all the sets and destroyed a lot of the things there. That's also why Samuel Jackson, who gets killed in the movie, you don't see his death. He was supposed to have a death scene. He didn't get it because of the hurricane. So that's why they just kind of worked in his little arm in that one scene, if you remember.
Yeah.
Implied death. He was supposed to have a death scene, though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He died of lung cancer or something?
No. It was one of the raptors, one of the girls that was rather clever. So... yeah, that's kind of like the on location stuff that they kind of set up, and the production and stuff stayed very efficient. That's really because Spielberg, like I said, he storyboarded every single shot. He said there was 0 waste. Every shot they captured on set was used in the movie.
Wow.
So they had no waste, which is very impressive.
Like Eastwood does that.
Yeah. So I think for the back half, I know I'm just bombarding you guys with facts, statistics, and stuff like that, but it's all pretty fascinating to me because the movie was such a big deal. So let's move into some of the sound and technical effects, and then we'll talk about some of the post-production, our thoughts and feelings, and when we'll call it a day.
All right.
So that scene. It's a really, really kick-ass scene where you're first introduced to the T-Rex.
Oh yeah, that's like a iconic scene.
Oh, it's so good, and just the way it's plotted out, the way that it's filmed, the little
you feel scared, like like the kids and all.
Yeah,
that.
there's no music; it's just the rain. There was this. Steven was in his car, rocking out to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and he started seeing his I know. His mirror was shaking because he was cranking it. And so he had the idea that that's how he wanted to signal that a T-Rex was coming near, was to do that with a glass of water in the car. But they couldn't figure out how to get the water to reverberate the way that they wanted and show the ripples. And eventually their sound guy was using his guitar and found the right frequency that they had to play in order to get it to operate that way. So that was kind of cool because they really wanted that sound, where the T-Rex was coming up and you hear that sonic boom before it's arriving.
I thought it was like Wayne Knight stood next to it and farted or something.
No, it was actually the sound of a tree hitting the ground. That's what those footsteps were. Not Wayne Knight. Apologize.
Farting.
Yeah, but so really the T-Rex was a giant puppet, and it took three guys that had to be in sync to control it. They're way offset, and it was like 1/5 movement robots that they had. So you move your hand one part, and the puppet moves 5. So you had to be very precise with how you moved, and it took 3 of them to synchronize it together to get it to move and stuff like that, which was really, really kind of cool. And you get to watch how they did some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the puppets were not designed to be in the rain. And mid course, Spielberg goes, "This scene needs to be in the rain. It's going to look way better."
Yeah.
Walks up to the puppeteers and asks,
"Take 5, guys.
Can your puppet be in the rain?" And the guy goes, "My puppet?" And Steven says, "Your puppet."
And then Steven looked down at his crotch.
Timeout. I didn't recall that situation playing out that way, but
I think that was in the different version of this movie called Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Yeah. So after the puppet negotiation, they said no, but we'll give it a go. And it worked okay, but the
did
T-Rex
the puppets endure shrinkage?
No. What ended up happening is that the puppets had like up to 6 inches of foam in certain parts of the exterior, and they started getting filled with water. So it became very, very heavy for the frame and the animatronics and the robots to move the animatronics. So they had to like squeegee out water in between takes, and the machine started kind of fritzing. It started shaking a lot, and it looked like it was having like some like shivering in the cold, having a seizure kind of thing. It looks pretty rad on like the behind the scenes footage.
So
it
put a blanket
really
on
creepy.
Them.
They did. They had a tarp, but
they put a little blankie on T-Rex.
Yeah. So the puppet survived. They got through it, but it could have been a total shit show.
Good for the puppet.
Yeah, a lot of audibles on this film, but they all seemed to be like genius. He wanted you to not see the T-Rex as well in the rain. He thought it would add to the environment. Like now, in hindsight, I mean, you can't really imagine that scene playing out any other way.
Well, it reminded me of like Jaws too, where Spielberg figured out that you don't always have to show the terror. The implication and the sounds and everything else. The ambiance really contributes to all of that.
Yeah, it's what you don't see is what's scary.
Right, it's psychological.
Yeah, which is great, and that's why I really connect this one back to Jaws in a lot of ways. I mean, even and another connection is where you hear it slowly coming, and it's coming, and it goes on for a good minute and a half or a minute. It feels like a long time.
Yeah.
The anticipation, you see a little claw testing the electrical, But anyways, that kind of reminded me of that scene in Saving Private Ryan where you hear the big Panzer tank coming as they're waiting for it on the bridge, and it takes maybe like 10 minutes to arrive.
Oh yeah.
But you slowly hear it coming. It is very similar type of experience. But just a little bit quicker in this one.
Drawing the tension out.
Yeah. So that scene kind of played out in a couple different ways. Because Goldblum's character was originally supposed to just run away like the lawyer did, and be kind of a coward. And Goldblum had this idea like that's not really what Ian Malcolm would do, and so he came up with this bit about I take the flare's attention and that kind of stuff. So they replayed it out that way, and that's what they ended up using.
Huh.
It wasn't supposed to go that way, but the lawyer was always the one that was supposed to die.
Yeah.
And that's where you also kind of get exposed to the yell of the T-Rex, which is also incredibly iconic for how dinosaurs and monsters scream. So being a big audio nerd, it was really fascinating watching how they came up with that sound.
Yeah.
So for lower pitches, they took like sounds of lions and crocodiles and dropped the pitch on, kind of blended those together. But overall, like its main roar was a baby elephant.
Huh.
And they just changed the pitch a little bit because it had that
they
kind of
just
sound.
like throw it in a processor and kind of mess with it.
Yeah. So if they take the elephant scream and just start dropping the pitch down, and then you could put a couple layers and some reverb on some different parts of it, and that's, you know, it's like that scene in Ferris Bueller where he's like playing the blah 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 blah. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that, but with baby elephants.
Okay.
I know that's a random connection, but
hey.
Hopefully the visual worked. And yeah, so like for example, you know, the raptors especially like when they're in that in the kitchen scene, which is another iconic scene in this movie that they mapped out.
Oh yeah.
What animal do you think they used for the sound of the raptor?
I'll
give you a hint. It's an aquatic animal.
A whale.
No, a dolphin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a teenage dolphin. Yeah.
Teenage dolphin.
Yeah, teenage dolphin.
Huh.
So it had to be an adolescent, and for the lower frequencies, they were walruses.
Interesting. Walrus.
So yeah, when you hear it again, next time you watch the movie, just remember baby elephants and dolphins. And that's the key sounds to those two dinosaurs are the ones that vocalize the most.
Right.
You know, the fossils are collapsing in the end scene. Those are the sound of like bowling alley and pins. And so when you actually watch it, when those fossils hit the ground, think bowling alley and hitting the pins, and you totally hear it. And you're like, oh, okay. But it works.
So like the Foley guys, who are the guys that make the sounds, they must have had a really good time making this movie then, because they had to come up with a lot of these kind of inventive ways.
Oh yeah.
Making, you know, that's kind of cool because, you know, I'm assuming now with a lot of movies with CGI, they're just kind of pulling off sounds from a bank, and you know, whereas in this one they got really kind of creative with some familiar type sounds, but in a different context.
It does, and it's sound editing is something that I've come to appreciate the older I get, because you really truly realize like how much is not captured on set. I mean, I was naive enough to think that a lot of sounds, like all you're really capturing for the most part, a lot of the vocals, some of the dialogue and the performances, but almost everything else is added in post-production to kind of control that sound.
It has to be.
Yeah. And which is something that, you know, a long time ago, I didn't really know that. So they did a great job with that. And obviously after the whole kitchen scene where we got some cool moments with the raptors and all that kind of stuff, they have that, you know, that last encounter as they're climbing down the fossils in the big lobby. And that was another audible that they changed how it's supposed to be, is that those fossils fall and smash the raptors. That's what allows them to get away.
Okay.
And they had like, you know, one of the rib cages goes through like the raptor's head, blah, blah, blah. And, but they ended up Steven wanted to have the T-Rex involved. So it had more of an epic ending, and even had that iconic banner, you know, when dinosaurs rule the world, fall down as it does this last little baby elephant cry. Which again, it's a total classic Spielberg thing, but those kind of moments,
the gang all back together in the last scene, you know.
Yeah, those are some of those little like cutesy things that don't age as well with me, but it's still clever filmmaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall the movie killed it. A couple post-production notes is right after Steven did this, he went in and started doing Schindler's List, which was like an emotionally draining film, a movie about the Holocaust, but he had to receive dailies 4 or 5 times a week as he was watching the animation and the CGI, the dinosaurs come to life. So here he is doing Schindler's List. Then he's looking at signing off on dailies for the dinosaurs. And he said it just totally fucked with his head because he doesn't even really remember like 4 or 5 months of his life during that time because he was like all these different places trying to influence and make decisions. It's the only movie he did where he wasn't there for John Williams doing the score because he had to do Schindler's List. So
Great
Williams,
score.
Yeah, he sent him, Williams sent him soundtracks that he would listen to in his car as he was driving down on set to go do Schindler's List. And so it's just interesting hearing a director kind of talk about like, as successful and stuff as he is, you see a lot of the things that they have to juggle and you kind of get it. Like, that's why he's really good.
And then when he needs a cooler, he goes in his car and listens to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, get some inspiration.
Yeah, like a little break,
Yeah, and, John Williams went to say that he really wanted to have a score that captured the sense of wonder and curiosity as if you really were experiencing the dinosaurs. And I thought he did a great job. I mean, it's almost as tiring. Like his soundtracks are so good.
Yeah.
But his themes are incredible. Like they felt like they just have always existed. That's how you know how good they are.
Right. I mean, they're instantly recognizable.
Oh yeah. Everybody
So
knows
many
the
of
Jurassic Park song.
Yeah.
Everybody. But it also gets tiring because it's that recognizable. Whereas like Hans Zimmer, a lot of moments of his are more atmospheric.
Sure.
And they don't tire as much, but they also don't have the same type of effect. It's different.
They're not theme based really.
Yeah. His are very old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last few notes about it is, I mean, I felt that the movie aged well. It's almost what are we looking at? It's 93, so we're almost at 30 years old.
Yeah.
And they feel that the reason why it's aging well is because Spielberg said the technology was very warm. That was the term he used to describe it. And he's got a point because like basically a lot of movies with CGI do not age well. And that's because they did things specifically because they could, but they never stopped to think if they should. Yeah. Sorry, that's a little quote from the movie. But anyway,
a little pretentious there, buddy.
You like that?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. I stumbled on that one in the middle. I had to do it.
This podcast took a turn.
Yeah, because technology finds a way.
Soapbox.
But it's true because it wasn't initially meant to be a CGI movie. They had a whole plan of attack to do it with puppets. And so because they changed mid-course, they used it where it was necessary.
They used what?
CGI.
Oh, I thought did they use something else, though?
I think they used puppets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until now.
You didn't? No. Yeah. So they were going to do... It was supposed to be stop motion, and they did a bunch of hand-controlled puppets. So I hope everybody else is enjoying this as much as we are.
Yeah, we're getting a kick out of this.
Yeah. If you're still with us, thank you. So yeah, they changed course, and that's why the technology is warm and it ages well. It's actually pretty impressive when you look at this compared to other movies of this era that just look like shit.
Because a lot of those movies, they don't have like, besides the CGI, they don't have the substance that like a Spielberg brings to it,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
so
point.
It's like those movies rely solely on those. Whoa, look at this and look at that, and it's like with Jurassic Park, it's like you have the music, you have so many components that make it a great film that at times the CGI is almost incidental, because I mean, there's like the scene in the kitchen, the scene with the T-Rex, he's creating this suspense where it's like, if I don't see this T-Rex, I don't give a shit because, he's already, I mean, it's cool if I see it, but he's already created this tension that he did like in Jaws or Private Ryan,
And speaking of which is that the T-Rex is kind of the hero, not on screen a whole lot. And when they move away from it, you're not like missing it. Like they're keeping you engaged with where the story's going.
Yeah.
Where you don't feel like there's an absence of this key thing. So, I mean, I have a big issue with CGI when it doesn't work. And
Yeah,
I
because it
almost
looks
am like,
shitty.
you either do all or none, but this half-ass CGI sucks. Like, I recently watched Captain America again, and it's a great movie. I really enjoy it, but there's just some scenes in there, just a couple movements and animations that just do not work, and they take you right out of the experience.
I'll tell you one where I turned it off, like because of the CGI. It was I think it was called In Time. It's with Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah.
Terrible
it's the one
movie.
where you time is like the currency, and you get that, and when you're out of time,
it's like they stole the plot from Logan's Run, like
isn't
an
it
old
Out
movie
of Time
from the 70s.
or whatever it's called? Yeah.
What it was a waste of my time. It's pretty much what it was. But there's a
I
scene
know.
where like a car, like his car goes off an embankment, and they show it, and it's basically like a model car. Like someone just took a model car, like you make in
Just
your room,
flicked it off a
and
table.
just throw it down a hill, and I'm like, click. Like I couldn't, it's totally you can. So it's like that's an example of one where it's just in like a couple movies I watched recently. I just had to turn them off because it was like,
go watch The Matrix and tell me that CGI does not hold up, because it does. It doesn't.
Even Blade, which is a good movie, but it's like I can't do it now.
Yeah, I know.
I think our brains have been conditioned to, now we demand excellence.
Yeah, even so, that's why I try to just recorrect myself and think at that time it may have worked, and I give it the respect and credit for its time, but it didn't age well. But for some reason, this movie does, and even though you look at the CGI and like, oh yeah, that looks like way better in Jurassic World, it still doesn't like ruin the impact of the performance. It still serves its purpose. Even like with Jaws. So even Jaws is just a water puppet. It's still
a water what?
Water puppet. It still has the tension, and it still works. All right.
Okay.
Let's so
what else you got?
That's it, man.
Closing thoughts.
Closing one last thing. The soundtrack. They had to use a digital soundtrack because of the sounds of the screaming dinosaurs and stuff like that, which required a digital sound system in theaters.
How dare they?
So I know it sounds like very James Cameron of him.
Yes.
But a lot of theaters had to upgrade, and so that kind of pushed technology forward for sound systems. And so once sound systems were upgraded, that allowed filmmakers to use more digital sound as opposed to like an analog sound. And again, it just pushes the medium forward. So that's kind of my closing thoughts, is that
setting the bar.
I love movies that do that, especially when you get to experience it in real time when it was released. It's a great movie all around, and it's well made. I think it ages well. I think kids and adults both like it. Some moments get a little tired. The soundtrack can wear you down because it's like, yeah, I've heard it, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I still have a lot of respect for it and just appreciate the filmmaking craft that went into it. So,
has there been like a DVD re-release or remaster? Or?
They've gone through a couple rounds. You can kind of get your sets out there. Nothing too recent. A couple years ago, they kind of had them all come out digital again. So, and then there's no like upscaling or anything crazy like that. So it's still HD, but the dinosaurs are not going to go back and redo CGI or anything.
Like some other guy, like George Lucas did.
I know. Yeah, there's a ghost Triceratops.
Yes, a magic peach.
Yeah. So
and a Scottish ghost.
There we have it.
All
and
right. Well,
I hope you enjoyed Jurassic Puppets.
Jurassic what?
Puppets.
Oh, hey. So you think you know Jurassic Park, huh?
I'm not
Sounds
a
like you know a
connoisseur
lot of,
or an expert, but I'm pretty hip.
I got some questions for you.
Oh, you got some Jurassic trivia?
I actually got 100 questions for you.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, let's maybe not do 100. Let's just see how it goes.
We'll do a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
All right. First one. According to the Jurassic Park vet, the sick Triceratops is experiencing all of these symptoms except for what? Fever, disorientation, imbalance, or labored breathing.
Disorientation.
Wrong. Fever.
Oh, fever. All right. Okay. All right.
According to park warden Robert Muldoon, how many velociraptors did Jurassic Park originally breed? 8, 7, 6, or 5?
Jeez, these are tough. 7.
Wrong. 8.
Okay.
Jurassic Park employees have approximately how many minutes to catch the last shuttle to the docks?
5.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. I was sure you're going to give me multiple choice on that.
Oh, you're good. What is Donald Gennaro sitting on when he's killed by the T-Rex? Spoiler, a toilet, a bench, a rock, or a sink?
He's sitting on a toilet.
Very good.
Yep. All right, we're getting these.
All right. Well, you're getting them. What color is Alan Grant's bandana?
Red.
Blue, green. Yep, very good. What does Alan Grant say to John Hammond on the phone after the Jurassic Park systems are rebooted? Mr. Hammond, send for the damn choppers. Mr. Hammond, call the mainland. Hammond, the phones are working. Or Hammond, we're back online.
Call the damn choppers.
Wrong. The phones are working.
Oh. Then I thought you said call the choppers after that.
Yeah, well.
Pretty sure. That's a trick question there, brother.
All right, well.
Brother.
At the visitor center, John Hammond and his guests witnessed the birth of what? Brontosaurus, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Velociraptor.
Velociraptor.
Correct.
Yeah, throw some of these, throw them at me without the multiple choice on the next few ones. I want to see how I do.
This. In the beginning of the film, Ellie Sattler whispers to Alan Grant that kids are what?
Shitheads.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, small versions of adults.
Okay.
What is the name of the room that Dennis Nedry, aka Newman, steals the dinosaur embryos?
It's like the crypto fridge room. That's a tough one there.
I'll give it to you. It's embryo cold storage.
Embryo, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, sorry. Complete this sentence. Big Tim, the human.
Oh, that's it? Okay. I thought you were talking about a character. Big
Tim, the human.
The human. I know this one. Hold on. It has to do with him getting like electrocuted. It's like the Human Torch or the human. I don't know, something like that.
Piece of toast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Get it?
After he got electrocuted. Yeah. The human piece of toast.
Let's do a couple more here.
Yeah.
When Ellie Sattler hears Alan Grant calling her name from the visitor center, what does she say?
Say that one more time.
When Ellie Sattler hears Alan calling her name from the visitor center, what does she say?
Run.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what she's yelling at herself. Run.
What is the name of the park's chief geneticist?
Wong? Or Wu?
That's the wrong answer. Dr. Wu.
Yeah, clever.
Hey, I'm on fire
Wu.
tonight.
Wong is his name in real life.
Yeah. Oh.
Who's on first?
Yeah.
What kind of dinosaur preys on the herd of Gallimimus?
That's the T-Rex.
Very good.
That's an easy one. All right, pick like the 3 to 5 hard ones out of there and we'll call it.
All right. Why does John Hammond invite Alan Grant and Ellie to Jurassic Park?
So they can give him his endorsement?
Very good.
Yeah, okay.
Not that hard, but here's another hard. What color is Tim's backpack?
It's blue.
Good. You're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Here's another one for you. Laura Dern began a romantic relationship with which puppet after meeting on set? I mean, actor.
Oh, what actor?
Yeah.
Wasn't her and Goldblum a thing?
That's right. They were a thing.
Yeah. The Thing.
We got the hurricane. That was a question there.
Yeah.
What are the names of John Hammond's grandkids?
It's Tim.
Okay.
And Ellie, or not Ellie. I think it starts with an L.
Okay.
What the hell is her name?
Lex.
Yeah, there you go. Lex.
Last
They don't say
question.
her name too often. All right, last
Yeah.
one. Make it a good one.
All right. How many volts does the perimeter fence contain?
I know it. What is puppet? No,
Yes,
it is
very good.
10,000. 10,000.
Excellent job.
Yeah.
All right. You did pretty
See,
good.
there you go. Not bad.
20 questions. You got 13 right.
All right. I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Very good.
And what do I win?
You win a free puppet.
I knew that was going to come.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
It's a sock puppet. So,
Oh, great.
yeah, it's in the mail.
I definitely won't be opening that.
Yeah, right?
All right. Well, nice questions, man. Thanks for getting those together.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up for us. We are putting on the final touches of our Batman extravaganza, so that's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
It'll be a big one.
Gonna be a big one. Yeah, absolutely.
We're
Looking
doing our
forward to,
homework, so it's taking a little longer than we thought.
Yeah, I know. We have lives, people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Batman that's happened since '89. So I was
True.
like, shit, what do I gotta watch?
Shit, man.
Oh, yeah. And so we're gonna leave up all the obscure ones. So Maddie Nisbet over there, he'll watch all those in-betweeners for us. So when we bring him on, it'll be I'm looking to get enlightened. But
Yeah. I'm
So-
looking forward to it.
we've got that in the works. Also like to hear from you. Is there any movies that you want? I know that our buddy Bobby over in SoCal wants us to do Alien or Aliens. We've gotten a couple different requests, but we want to hear it. You guys should go to our Twitter at the Harsch Review. Tell us if you want something you want us to talk about. Head over to our Facebook page. Get engaged. Curious to see what's out there, and we're more than happy to kind of do a deep dive. And if it's gotten puppets, hey, bonus points to you.
Even better.
Even better, yeah. And outside of that, had a lot of fun talking about the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. So I think that'll do it for us. You feeling pretty good there, Ryan?
I'm feeling pretty good.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. My name is Sean.
And I'm Ryan.
Have a good one.
Puppets.